we are back with F2 Podcast. Colin Stevens here. I am joined today by Coach JD Powell of the College of Charleston. And Coach, it's great to have you on with us.
Appreciate it, Colin. Thanks for letting me join you.
Absolutely. You guys see that we have similar hairstyles. We have a similar desire for the basketball game. Your basketball journey has taken you all kinds of places, but if you would, just clue our audience in on your playing and then, at coaching career too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Basketball has been a big part of my life ever since I was a child. My dad played college basketball. I'm the son of a dairy farmer. And so as I was growing up, I was either working on a farm or in a gym. And I knew whenever I got a little bit older, I didn't want to be on the farm, so I chose to coach. I knew I wanted to coach at an early age, so I chose to go to Clemson University and be a manager. I was really blessed during that time to get to walk on at Clemson and eventually earn a scholarship.
Yeah.
Had some great experiences like playing in Madison Square Garden in the NIT. And then from there, this is, I think, year 18, time in the NBA G League and then a couple of universities throughout the state of South Carolina. But I've been really blessed to be in the city of Charleston now for 15 years. 6 years at Charleston Southern, 4 at the Citadel, and now the 5th year at the College of Charleston. And it's just been a great experience. It's been a great ride.
Yeah, and you said 5th year in College of Charleston. Just recently a big win over Rhode Island the other night. Congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Was able to get those guys last night. They beat us on the road at their place last year. And, at the College of Charleston, as we continue to build and move this thing forward, those types of games against the A-10 regular season champion who got an at-large bid last year, those are what our program is about.
Absolutely. And we were just talking a little bit about, some of your players and some of the guys that are now, they were important players for you as freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
But they've now started to become upperclassmen. Can you speak a little bit to that and how, the dynamic of your team that way this year?
Yeah, Colin, we've been really fortunate in that we've had guys that we've got to see grow up. One of the best examples is a guy like Jarrell Brantley from Columbia, South Carolina. Jarrell came here, 3 years ago now. He's a senior. He was the freshman of the year in the CAA and is just a rock for our program.
Yeah.
And, had a big night last night. He's done great things on and off the court. He'll get his degree in May. He'll have some NBA opportunities when he gets done.
Right.
And then other South Carolina guys like Brevin Galloway, who's hung around, who's just persevered. And then some of our other regional guys like Grant Riller, who's a redshirt junior out of Orlando, who's just having an incredible year right now. And so guys that have just persevered, and have stayed the course, showed up and worked every day through the ups and the downs.
Right.
And they're seeing the fruits of their labor right now.
Right, and you as a team and as a coach are starting to see the benefits of having guys in your program that have bought in, and I'm sure they didn't buy in every day, right? I mean, that's part of the coaching profession is trying to convince them of that. But then you start to get them to where they're at the point now where now they're leading the younger guys.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to see is the way that Jarrell Brantley coaches our younger guys.
Yeah.
We've got some really talented freshmen, guys like Isaiah Moore out of Sumter High School, and to see Jarrell Brantley go and put his arm around him in practice and coach him in a shell drill, or Grant, to talk to those guys about the level of expectation at the College of Charleston is huge, and we've had great continuity during Earl Grant's tenure here, and it's just we're seeing a product of it on the court, 51 wins in the last 2 years, 3-0 start this year, and those guys are the reason why.
I dig it. All right, so in your career, you're 15 years coaching. Your middle name is probably Charleston or Mr. Charleston. So you've been here long enough. What to the aspiring coaches out there that want to work their way into college basketball or work their way up the coaching ladder? Like what obstacles have you had? What adversity have you run into? Where has there been like really challenges where you've had to look yourself in the mirror and make a decision?
Yeah, coaching, just like anything else that you want to do that's going to be great, it's always going to be hard, and there are going to be a lot of bumps in the road, and you've got to persevere, and you got to trust that there's a plan. We went through some years where it was hard.
Yeah.
Whether that was during my time playing at Clemson, to some years at Charleston Southern and the Citadel, and then even in our first year at the College of Charleston. We've had a lot of success in the last couple of years, but we remember that our first year, it was rough.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I would always tell young coaches, first of all, is you got to know that it's hard, and you're going to have to persevere. You're going to have to hang in there and just grind day after day after day. But then number two is that you got to be ready when your opportunity comes. I'm around some young guys sometimes, and they talk about I want an opportunity, and then they get an opportunity and they don't want to make the most of it. I worked as a volunteer basically for 3 years. Whenever I first got out of Clemson, I got out of basketball for about 8 months. I wasn't sure that it's what I wanted to do, and I walked away from a corporate job making really good money to go be an intern in the NBA, making $35 per home game. And I loved it. And then I was a GA for 2 more years at Furman as basically a volunteer. And my point in just sharing that is that, it's going to take some time. You got to be willing to persevere. You got to hang in there. But then when you get the opportunity, go make the most of it. Go be great wherever you are. Whenever you get an entry-level opportunity, it's going to be involving video. It's going to be involving equipment and travel. The things that sometimes that people don't see that maybe aren't as glamorous, but if we don't do those things well, we can't be a successful organization. And just buying into your role, just like we talked to our players about. Go be great at what you're called to do today.
Well, that's a really cool story, something I didn't know about you. As we've developed our relationship, I know that you're a father and a husband for how long?
Yeah, so been married for going on 11 years now. I was fortunate. I met my wife in Charleston, and I have 3 beautiful little boys, ages 8, 6, and 3. And so they were born here in Charleston.
Yeah.
And
of course,
and
everything happens in Charleston.
I've been fortunate.
Yeah.
That's not the normal story to be able to stay in one city for 15 years like that.
But it's really cool for you to be able to share your story about, getting into coaching and paying your dues and doing the best with what you got when you have it, because you can't change that situation. But then how does that, do you feel like that carries into you in your personal life too? Because I'm sure marriage is super easy for you guys. Super easy. And being a dad is, a piece of cake. So,
man, I tell you what, there are days that I really feel for my wife and my children. And I say that in all seriousness because it's not easy to be the spouse of a coach or the child of a coach, because you miss a lot of bedtimes. You miss a lot of ball games and practices and some holidays. And so one of the things that I try to do with my family is whenever I'm with them to be completely with them.
Yeah.
And so just the time management part of it. On a day like today, we played last night. To give you an example, my children are in school pretty early each morning, so midweek games they normally don't come to. But today is an off day for us from a practice standpoint, and so I'll try to be home by 5:30. So that I can try to give them whatever time that I've got today.
Right.
And so just when I'm with them, just being completely with them. Sometimes you got to put your phone down and put it on silent. My son is 8. He's growing up fast. As you know, with your kids, it happens fast.
Sure.
And so you don't want to waste a day.
And so how hard is that challenge being, always wanting to be on the recruiting trail and being able and addressing things with the team and needs of what the organization needs? How hard is that to put your phone down when you're at the dinner table or when you're, about to, the kids are reading and you're about to put them down or whatever? How difficult is that? What do you do? What advice could you give that's worked for you, not worked for you?
It's probably the hardest thing that I battle with, because like I said, I'm the son of a farmer, and I love to work and I love to do what I get to do. I'm blessed to get to do this. And so if it was up to me, I'd work every day for 16 hours a day. But you have to know that those children are growing up fast, and so I've tried to be more intentional about, if I'm going to be on the road, I'm going to maximize that day.
Sure.
If I'm on the road recruiting, we're getting to 5 or 6 high schools that day, because I'd rather do that than it be 2 days and I did 3 high schools each day.
Right.
And so, you build a routine. I try to get up in the morning and read some before they're awake so I can spend some time with them before school. And then knowing that sometimes after they go to bed, I might have to then do some more film after they've gone to bed.
Sure.
And so I'm a big intentional guy. That's a big key word for me, and that you gotta have a plan about what you're doing, and my time with my wife and my children are as big a part of that as anything in recruiting and film.
Sure. And so when you talk about intentionality, one of the things that you and I will talk about on occasion is just is our faith and what we believe God is doing in our lives, or how he's orchestrating things. And so, amidst the season and the craziness of the season, like how does your faith play into how you coach, how you build your relationships, that kind of thing?
Wow. I mean, that's a great question, and through the ups and downs, really two of the biggest life verses for me in particular. One is to know who I'm serving. I try not to live through the ups and downs each day of what happened yesterday in front of 5,000 people and on the scoreboard. I can't live that way, and I can't live vicariously through our head coach, whether it's Earl Grant or whoever the other great guys that I've worked for. I've got to know that I'm living to serve one, and that gives me a great foundation and a great way to be grounded in that. Just live every day to your fullest potential. And that really is a rock for me. And then the second one is knowing the plans that he has for us.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older and seen the ups and the downs and the losses and the times when you didn't get a job or didn't get a recruit, just knowing that the Bible promises us that in Jeremiah 29:11 that the plans that he has for us are for us to prosper.
Sure. And
so just having trust and faith, whether you win yesterday, whether you lose yesterday, whatever happened, something great's coming.
Yeah.
And that's just given me more of a peace than I've ever had before.
Yeah.
To just be able to have some trust and faith and know that great things are on the way.
Right. Well, and it's interesting too because Jeremiah 29:11. We just had it as a message at our church, and one of the part before you get to verse 11 is God is out. He's asking his people to obey him, and asking them to listen to him, and then he will look to give them a hope and a future. So what does that part look like?
Obedience. I mean, it's and it's one of the things that I talk to our players about. I talk to young people about when I get to speak, and that one of the biggest things that we can do as a Christian is to be obedient. By no means are we going to be perfect.
Sure.
I'm as Paul said, I am a sinner of which I am one of the greatest.
Right.
But just knowing that when we seek him daily and when we live for him and we want to follow him, so often my prayer is, Lord, just change my heart that I will be more like you.
Right.
In the way that I talk to people and deal with people and the way that I interact every day. I think by doing those things daily, we then get out of his way and allow the Lord to bless us.
Yeah.
Too many times he wants to bless us, we just get in the way.
Right.
And so just try to be obedient and trying to live.
Well, and then too, when we are connecting with him every day and we're asking him to move in us like that, then we don't have to go tell everybody, hey, you got to follow Jesus, you got to do this or that. They see it in us.
Absolutely.
Right? And we are able to develop those relationships to where it's like they see something different in the way that we're living, not just in what we're saying. Because we all know in this day and age, anybody can say anything.
Yeah.
Right? And it not have a whole lot of value all the time.
No, it's one of my biggest things is don't tell me, show me.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't have maybe as much patience as I should for people that just want to talk to me about it. I want to see you live it.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things with the players that I've been blessed to coach over almost 2 decades now is those guys that whenever our time together was done at the end of their career, they ask why. Hey, coach, why did we do it this way? Or why did we do? Because then that's when we have a chance to share.
Sure.
And so now when I'm trying to teach my children, how did we interact with that lady at the grocery store?
Yeah.
How did we interact with our classmates today? How did we interact with our teacher? Because that's the way that we live is our testimony.
Sure.
And so it's a good reminder for me too.
Yeah. And so then, I'm bringing back the basketball piece as well, because you said one of the things that's really important to you is don't tell me, show me.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to the guys that you're coaching now, I mean, so many of these guys say, I want it. I want playing time. I want this. I want that. And it's kind of like, okay, you say you want it, but are you really doing all the stuff it takes to be able to, get the coaches to trust you and that kind of thing? Like, so what can they do to show instead of just tell?
Well, I think that one of the most important things for any of us, regardless of our age, is to be a great listener. And every guy that has earned the opportunity to play, for example, at our level or for their high school team or their wherever it is, they've earned that opportunity. But now it's, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to, and so those guys have never been in that experience before. Great example, Coach Grant talks a lot about, we're coming off of an NCAA tournament bid, 51 wins in the last 2 years, and we have talked to our freshmen and that letting them know that all this was built before we ever got here at the College of Charleston was done before you got here. And so they don't have the experiences to even know how to show us. So they've got to be able to listen.
Right.
They've got to be able to listen to their teammates. They've got to be able to listen to their coaches. But they've also got to be able to listen to our nutritionists, our sports performance people, our academic advisors. Don't tell me that you want to be great and then our academic advisor is telling me that you didn't show up for class.
Right.
Because obviously, there's a disconnect there. And you don't see it yet.
Right.
But you will eventually. Greatness is not something that we do sometimes. It's don't tell me you're dedicated to show up in the gym every night and do this and do that, but then you can't show up for class every day, because that means eventually you won't show up in the gym.
Right.
And that's a lifestyle. That's not about basketball or anything like that.
No doubt. So you guys are obviously looking forward to like a promising season. As we start to wrap this up a little bit, I want to just talk a little bit. How do you keep your guys hungry after an NCAA bid? You guys won the conference. You've got some big-time players returning for you. What is it that keeps you guys hungry versus being like, we've accomplished something that we've want to? What?
Man, that's a great question. I guess the first thing that comes to my mind whenever you say that is that has to start with them. If that has to come from outside of our players or outside of our locker room, then it's going to be hard. And so we've been fortunate in that, guys like a Joe Cheeley, who just signed with the Charlotte Hornets in a two-way, to see him back in Charleston last night. Those older guys, they laid the foundation for the culture for the guys that are here now.
Sure.
And Jarrell Brantley had a great quote in the media last night after the game about our freshmen. He said, "When I leave, the program will be in great hands." And so, to answer your question, I think it's got to start from within.
Yeah.
We're gonna remind them and we're gonna talk to them about it. But there's always going to be ups and downs in a season. There are going to be some good days in practice, and there's going to be some bad days. And but ultimately that has to come from within. And we've been really, really blessed and fortunate that there's a great culture of that here that was built by players that were here 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that now our seniors are still living and our freshmen are getting to see it because it comes from inside.
Right. All right, Coach. So if people want to follow JD Powell, who they have now come in contact with, Mr. Charleston himself, how can they follow you? Social media?
Yeah, absolutely. Jack P. Jr. 25 on Twitter, and then College of Charleston basketball is CFC basketball. They've got a lot of great things about what's going on with our program on there. They do a fantastic job of covering our program and all the great things that are going on in Charleston.
Yeah, and you and I walking around the arena, and this is a beautiful place to be, man.
It is. It's a great spot. We're really fortunate in that the College of Charleston has great history and tradition. It's the 6th winningest program in college basketball in the last 25 years. We currently have the 2nd longest home winning streak in college basketball at 18 games. And so, it's been a lot of fun to be at a place where they are very passionate about winning and about moving this program forward, whether it's in our new sports performance center, whether it's the full-time nutritionist that's trying to help our players develop physically, to when we go on the road on Sunday, being on a charter plane and being able to get right back after the game.
Right.
They're continually raising the level of this program, and it's scratching the surface of where it's going to be.
I dig it. So, all right, so we're gonna point it back to you, the audience. Some of the key things that Coach was talking about was really like 2 things that I would challenge you guys with is, are your words matching up with your actions? Like, are you showing it instead of just telling it? Whether it's about your faith or it's about what you desire in your career, are you showing it instead of just saying it? And then certainly one of the things that we also could take from Coach Powell is like, when you're getting started, you just got to do the best with what you got. You can't jump rungs up the ladder. You just got to keep doing the best with what you got. So
one of my favorite quotes to leave us on, Colin, is Martin Luther King's. And I can't remember the whole thing up, but if you're called to be a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper, so that the angels of heaven proclaim that there goes the greatest street sweeper of all time.
Yeah.
Just be great at whatever it is you're called to do, and you can make an impact that way.
I dig it. Coach, thanks for being on with us.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming down and hanging out with us today in Charleston.
Absolutely. Chucktown, F2, we are out.